Then I took a smidge and applied it down there.
This One's Wife. Netflix closes the door. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. 5 years ago, This One's Wife was riding high. No, that's not a nickname for somebody else, but things were looking fairly rosy for her. Megxit had occurred, where she had turned round and effectively flipped the bird to the royal family, withdrawing, utilising the third assertion of control to nullify the threat to control posed by the royal family repeatedly telling her, no, you can't do that. Thus, she ran away, and over the sea she went to Canada, taking the ginger poodle with her, and his pink pancakes. It's often useful to look back on events, particularly in relation to what we now know, as it enables us to see more complete pictures. It's also useful to revisit things that have occurred when you've acquired more knowledge about the individual. This is why from time to time I post older videos in relation to This One's Wife, so you can take a fresh look at them, armed with information that has come to light more recently. It allows you to see things in a fresh and interesting light. This One's Wife and Harry signed a contract with Spotify and an even larger one with Netflix, with the sum of $100 million being mentioned. It wasn't the case that that was going straight into the bank of This One's Wife. No, it would likely be paid in tranches as they delivered and included production costs, but nevertheless, many millions of dollars were being made. Netflix rubbed its hands in anticipation, or at least its executives did, believing that they were going to get the juicy lowdown from This One's Wife and Harry. Tales of racism from those imperialists, the dirt that's gone on behind closed doors, the fights with Catherine, the fallout with William, smashed dog bowls and broken necklaces, all of the juicy gossip that would be diluted and provided through Netflix programs. The anticipation that they had for great things was undoubtedly high, hence the sums that have been mentioned. As you know, what actually came to pass was hugely disappointing for those Netflix executives. The docuseries Harry and This One's Wife did have decent viewing figures, but it didn't deliver as much detail as people would have expected and actually turned into a whinge fest of victimhood. It was largely criticised, despite fairly strong viewing figures. Polo was a pile of pants, and with Meghan, well, let's not put too fine a point on it, it was shit, and it was much derided, and similarly didn't make much of a dent with regard to viewing figures. Other projects failed to manifest, for instance Pearl and Meet Me at the Lake. And overall, it has to be said that it was something of a damp squib for Netflix. Their expectation of receiving tons of juicy gossip could be converted into content and shown across their network fell flat. But it was a 5-year contract, and the laziness and sense of entitlement of This One's Wife was writ large as a consequence of the failure to provide anything decent. Lots of noise about things in the pipeline, lots of noise about exciting things, and then zero delivery. We do know that there is the second half of season 1 of With Love Meghan that's due to come out, I think, in September. It's been heralded as a second season, but anybody with functioning brain cells knows that it's quite simply the second half of what already been filmed, and it's likely that Netflix think, well, we might recoup something by pumping that out there, even if it wins some comedy awards rather than ones for cookery. But many people have been waiting to see whether Netflix will simply cut its losses. Described as being a partner with This One's Wife, it doesn't appear to have been keen to pump any further money into the endeavour. There have been the various misfires in respect of the series With Love Meghan being delayed, supposedly because of the LA wildfires, the poor reviews that have come as a consequence of it, the suggestion that her products were going to appear in the Netflix stores, which then hasn't manifested, the fact that she had a limited drop of items, then said she was going to stand back and appraise it all, and then did a complete volte-face and undertook a further drop. It really has been a spasmodic clusterfuck and a lesson in how not to create content nor try and create a retail empire. There must be red faces at Netflix, although Ted Sarandos, probably trying to do his best to save face, described this one's wife as a rock star. I think perhaps he meant to say cock star and got muddled up, but there we are. The contract expires in a couple of months, and understandably, there's plenty of speculation as to whether it will be renewed, and if it is to be renewed, on what terms will it be renewed, or will it not? If it isn't, that is a massive problem for this narcissist. First of all, the failure to renew will wound her, because it signals that she isn't important. And as you all know, her narcissism causes her to believe that she's the most important person in the universe. And if Netflix don't recognise that, that makes them treacherous and awful, but it wounds her. It is a reminder of the thing that she does not want to be reminded about, her uselessness, her vulnerability, her inability to cope. Furthermore, it means that the residual benefit that comes with recognition and also money is removed. And as I have explained in other parts, the provision of money is hugely important for this somatic narcissist because of what it allows her to do and what it makes her believe. Accordingly, if there is no renewal, she will experience substantial wounding by the act itself. She will then face further challenge fuel as a consequence of the reportage of this failure to renew. She'll get talked about, which is good, but it won't be complimentary, which threatens her need for control, and she loses the residual benefit of the money. All in all, it is a huge slap in the face for this one's wife if there is no renewal. The alternative suggestion is that there will be some form of renewal, but on reduced terms. We probably will never know what those reduced terms are, other than people speculating about it, but it stands to reason that if they do renew, it can't be anywhere near the level that it once was, because her track record is awful. Many people suspect that the idea is that she is being kept on Netflix's books to await the inevitable divorce so that they then can milk that for all it's worth, because there would certainly be plenty of interest in relation to that, irrespective of whether, of course, it's all through the skewed perspective of this one's wife. Should divorce occur, Netflix want to be there to capture the event in terms of this one's wife's explanation of what has gone on. She, arrogantly, will assume that they will renew. Because, well, why wouldn't they? After all, it's her. She's brilliant. She's special. But it would appear that the door, at least according to the account I'm going to share with you, has now been closed, and there will be no renewal. An individual called Rob Shooter has a Substack, and you may be asking yourself, as I did, who is Rob Shooter? So to provide you with a bit of context, he's a British-American journalist, gossip columnist, magazine editor, talk show host and author. He does celebrity journalism. In 2007, he was the executive editor of the American edition of OK magazine. During his tenure, the magazine reached its millionth issue and secured several high-profile exclusives, including an interview with Britney Spears during a period of personal and professional challenges. He'd previously worked at Dan Flores Communications, where he represented a range of high-profile clients, including J-Lo, Jessica Simpson, Alicia Keys, Sean Diddy, Baby Oil Combs, John Bon Jovi, Naomi Campbell, and Paris Hilton. He represented Us Weekly, then joined OK Magazine at its suggestion of its owner, and he increased market share. He's hosted a half-hour talk show, Naughty Boy Nice with Rob, and he also has this Substack. So he's very much versed in the celebrity world, which means that he's undoubtedly got a number of contacts, and is often the case with this material. I'll leave it up to you as to the level of veracity that you place with it. I simply report on it for the purpose of helping you understand what that means in the context of the narcissism of this one's wife. Mr. Shooter writes, Netflix is done playing royalty. I can confirm that This One's Wife's multi-million-dollar streaming deal will not be renewed when it expires. While still technically active, insiders say the streamer is quietly preparing to sever ties once the clock runs out. They are letting it expire without drama, one senior Netflix executive reveals, but there's no appetite for anything new. The decision comes after With Love Meghan, a heavily promoted lifestyle series, landed at number 383 in Netflix's global rankings, far below expectations. She had everything going for her: name, platform, press, and the numbers were dismal, a source says. The streamer had previously teased a second season, but insiders clarify the footage was filmed alongside season 1 as a cost-saving strategy. There is no actual renewal. The insider says it was baked in from the start. Even more damaging, Prince Harry's Polo docuseries came in at 3,436th, with only 500,000 views worldwide. The interest just isn't there anymore, one source says. They went from buzzy to background noise. The final season of With Love Meghan will likely air later this year, but behind closed doors the verdict is already in. This deal is dead. They're just waiting for the credits to roll. Now, certainly, there is plausibility. The lack of content provided, the dismal performance of the content that was provided, the fact that there is oversaturation of the Sussexes, there is genuine Sussex fatigue, people are getting rather tired of them, and really, most people are only keeping an eye, other than their supporters, on financial ruin, divorce, stripping of titles, basically the bad stuff. They're hanging around for the bad stuff to happen to the Sussexes, because for many people they see that as divine retribution for their behaviour. But beyond that, and as I've explained, it's pretty much rinse and repeat with them at the moment. Harry pops up somewhere, talks about his mum for a bit, whines a bit about how he can't get security, talks about reconciliation. This One's Wife continues to pump out stuff on Instagram. Seen it before, you'll see it again. Nothing really new going on. Nothing really particularly pertinent either, particularly as you understand the way that her narcissism works. But the suggestion here is Netflix is going to close the door. They're letting the contract run down so that there could be no prospect of litigation by terminating it early. And notwithstanding the possibility of divorce and perhaps keeping them on board in some way, this individual suggests that there isn't going to be any form of renewal whatsoever. And if that is accurate, then that is substantial wounding for This One's Wife, alongside the amplification of that problem through the media and the loss of the residual benefit. What are your thoughts, valuable viewers? Do you think this is accurate and that this is where This One's Wife and Harry are going to end up? Or do you think that it's just simple speculation and that there will be some kind of renewal because Netflix want to have some relationship with the Sussexes in case there are further scoops to be obtained? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.